So welcome back to the Bills edition of Sports Bruiser. Today is the recap of Week 14's win over the Cincinnati Bengals, 39-34. A little late to this, I apologize. But I'll make a quick video and my thoughts on that. And what a game. What a game this was, because for the most part, it did not look that good, especially defensively. Had no answers at all, had no stops for Joe Burrow in the offense, especially with T. Higgins and Mike Gesicki. Did have some answers for Jamar Chase, and I did say in my preview video they had to slow him down, and they did really. He had a little over 40 yards receiving. Most of it was kind of like more manufactured, trying to get him more involved in the game. It was more just the T. Higgins show with fantastic catches he's had with the 2 touchdowns. To be honest, all that aside, I did not think he should have came back in the game with just the horrible hit he had on the sideline with his head smacking off the ground. It did seem like it was bothering him. It stuns me that he went to the blue tent for concussion protocol, or just look at, not concussion protocol, but went to blue tent real quick, was, obviously out of the game for a little bit for the first quarter, was held out in the locker room to start of the second, and then came back in. They had all that time, and the fact that it was cleared, and it seemed like it bothered him a little bit with some of the hits, not all of them. At least there was 1 or 2 that seemed like it was bothering a little bit, not with the head, but just again seemed a little bit off with that one. But just a simple fact that he was just came back from a concussion, took that massive hit, and the fact that they put him back out there, and he was out for a little bit for the whole process, as other players have been, but to put him back out there, I thought for a safety precaution that they would keep him out for a little bit. Again, just coming back from a concussion and then smacking his head off of the ground like that is a little bit surprising. So obviously, so far I have not seen any news about T. Higgins being listed with a concussion or being back in protocol again. So whether the Bengals will get some flack from the NFL because of that, or down the stretch, whatever it may be. But I just felt like for his safety, I was just surprised that he came back in as well as did. Like I said, being out a little bit of the first and then being held in the locker room to start the second. Was surprised he came back there, but he put up a monster performance in this one, going back 44 yards for Chase, and T. Higgins 6 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, was phenomenal. Again, especially those 2 touchdown catches he had. The second one being really put them back in the game late in the fourth quarter to try and maybe put their set their defense to get a stop, which we all know what Josh Allen did on that 3rd and 15. Gesicki 6 for 86 yards and a touchdown. Again, made some great catches, especially down on their final drive offensively. And outside of that, too much really, I think that was the only thing that really just hurt us. Chase had a good catch or two, but again, I think it's a great game to keep him at 44 yards. Fantastic for, we know he's capable of going for 100 plus, or at times, 200 in some games he's done. So, great that they slow him down, and that's the trade-off there. Unfortunately, you just have too many good players at skill positions with T. Higgins and Mike Gesicki. First touchdown for Mike Gesicki in the season. The running game was good as well, slow it down there, and I was worried about that too, that they would kind of get that going because of how the passing game was, how it was looking at times for the Bengals. Samaje Perine was your leading rusher with 31 yards. Chase Brown was shut down really, 12 carries, 23 yards. Did score a touchdown too, but again, overall pretty good performance for the run defense there. Pass defense had to give and take there. Like I said, shut down Chase a little bit, or slow him down, I should say, slow him down. But unfortunately, Higgins was, had clutch catches, 3rd downs, touchdowns that we talked about, and everything all together with that. Burrow, outside of 2 interceptions, was great. 25 of 36, 284, 4 touchdowns, 2 back-to-back picks, one of them being a pick 6. Was only sacked once in the game. And you look over to Josh Allen, 22 of 28, 251, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, was sacked 3 times there. He also had 78 yards rushing, 80 before the kneel downs, and 1 touchdown, the 40-yard run, which is a career long for him. And what a game for Josh Allen. Let's start with that too, offensively. What a game by Allen. I kept hammering the table. I kept pounding the table that he cannot have turnovers there. Unfortunately, it did. Luckily, it didn't come from Josh Allen. It came from James Cook twice fumbling. One game luckily it didn't go for a touchback, and then fumbling on the 1-yard line in the end zone, essentially being a touchback, and then the Bengals get the ball back for that one. But Josh Allen played phenomenal. He did. He played. He was absolutely as Josh Allen always has, especially on the 4th down plays, the touchdown to Shakir, the one before that, the sideline, I think it was to Gabe Davis on that one as well. And then the runs, the 40-yard rushing touchdown before it set up the 2 interceptions, and then the 3rd and 15 run that sealed the deal for the Bills to win the game and come out of that on top. Masterclass performance by Josh Allen. That's the number one player off the Bills, from Sunday's game. The second one is Benford. I mean, again, when I talk about the defense, they could do absolutely nothing against the pass and stops, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Kazaki. But it was that moment right there, again, right after, soon after the rushing touchdown by Allen, it was the magic play where, it was Benford is on a blitz and jumps up, picks Joe Burrow off, and runs it in for a touchdown. The next play, Phillips puts his hand in the air, deflects a pass, and A.J. Epinesa catches the ball, intercepting it. Back-to-back plays are setting up again another touchdown there. And that's another one, too, another pivotal 4th down with Jackson Hawes being wide open in the end zone there. I love that they went for it. I love at times, too, that McDermott was aggressive because I think he understood, not just because of the opponent, but I think as well as just at that moment in the season, you had to find a way to win this one because you're going to put yourself in a bad spot as it is. And I'm not going to even, chime about the AFC East playoff, AFC East division race there because there is still a slight possibility. I get it, even after all this time this season, that the frustration, the losses, and so forth that we've bashed this team about, they're still to a point for the division. Unlikely. I mean, for one, easier said than done. You have to beat the Patriots at New England, and you gotta hope the Jets or the Dolphins can beat. One of those teams can beat them down the stretch there. But it was just a pivotal moment. I mean, taking away the division side, it was a big moment for the season. 8-4. If you lose, you go 8-5. And you look at the Texans winning. I was messing around the playoff machine, that they would have been knocked out. Now I did vote for the Chargers to lose in that scenario, so I don't know if the Chargers win would keep the Bills back in there. But it's safe to say that yes, if they would have lost, that they'd be in the outside looking in as of right now. So it was a big performance here. The fact that they went for the 4th downs, they were aggressive. I know one of the 4th downs didn't work out, but it worked out more than it didn't. So I love the aggressiveness from Sean McDermott in this offense. At times, not like the play calling, but again, it was the Josh Allen show. He made the great catches as he needed to. He made the clutch plays on the runs, the passes. I think by far the best play was the Shakir pass there in at least triple coverage. Thread the needle on that pass there was absolutely phenomenal what he did on there as well. For the running game going there, James Cook, 18 carries, 80 yards, 0 touchdowns. Should have had one there, but again, had 2 fumbles, one of them being in the end zone. Your leading receivers was Dawson Knox, certainly by far the best game of the season and probably for a while. You can maybe go back before Dalton Kincaid was even on the Bills. Maybe there were games that he had great performances. I'm just missing it, but I feel like he's just been really non-existent since Kincaid has been on the Bills since entering the league. He had a great performance. 6 catches, 93 yards, 0 touchdowns. Kincaid, 4 catches, 41 yards, 1 touchdown. You had James Cook for 2 for 31. Gabe Davis, 2 for 21. Shakir, 2 for 16 in that clutch touchdown. Shavers, a great catch on the sidelines, 1 of 16. Coleman, only 2 for 16. Ty Johnson, 2 for 14. Hawes with that clutch, again, touchdown catch, 1 for 3 yards and 1 touchdowns. And that was another thing, too. The tight ends got involved. They were huge in this one. Dawson Knox for the yardage, Kincaid for the yardage, 2 and the touchdown, and then Hawes for that 1 catch at that moment to kind of, if you want to say, seal the game away, even though it's how bad the defense was playing. It's never officially done, but certainly enough to put the Bills in the win for that point there, too. Just be someone in a comfortable spot there at that point in the game. So the tight ends were fantastic. All of them got involved, even with Hawes being the 1 catch. Everything was massive. Everything was critical, and it meant something. So it was great to see all the tight ends get involved there, especially Kincaid and Knox there. With especially Kincaid coming back from the injury, missing the last few weeks, having the game he had there, solid start from his return. Receivers, nothing too crazy. I mean, again, nothing crazy at all. And it's really been just the last few weeks, the leading receivers outside of Shakir at the Houston game, which most of that came right at the end of the game for the yardage. It's been mostly just the tight end and running back show for your leading receivers. The wide receivers have struggled, like we've known before. So nothing really pops out. Even all the catches were clutch. Like I said, Gabe Davis on the 4th down, Tyrell Shavers down the stretch as well. Shakir, the clutch touchdown. So, yes, the yardage isn't fantastic. It's not crazy, but everyone did step up and make a clutch play and a critical play when they needed to. So everyone did come out, did have a huge role in everything. Ty Johnson, sucked to see them fall on that wide open run when it looked like he was going to score there early in the game. But again, it was phenomenal, no doubt about that. And then just what I talk about, the defense was struggling outside of those two critical plays. And there's no question, if they don't make those plays, the Bills lose this game. And we're talking about an entirely different story and a different mood of the Bills being 8-5, now dreading going to New England at New England, or sorry, playing the Patriots at New England, and thinking like the season might be done because if you lose that, you're 8-6. How do you feel at that point there? So it was big that the defense made plays when they had to at that point there. So give credit to, first off, the second best player for the game, Christian Benford, absolutely phenomenal. And he's had an elite, an amazing 2-week stretch here. 2 touchdowns, had the fumble return, pick 6, a sack. I mean, he's looking to live up to the contract that he was given and the Benford that we know. And he struggled this year. If you want to say the groin injury, however it may be, but he has struggled this year. And it was great to see these 2 games, especially the Bengals game, that he really stepped up and made clutch plays. Because if he didn't, it was, again, the Bills do not come out on top of this because outside of those 2 plays from Phillips, Epinesa, and Benford, that they are not winning this game. Because outside that, the Bills defense could do absolutely nothing, and the Bengals were going up and down at ease. And it felt like early on, it did feel like it was that division game that we lost to with the Bengals. Everything, the weather, all that looked like basically a copy of the division game that we lost back in, I think it was 2022 to them. And it just luckily, in part, Josh Allen keeping the team alive. And again, if the Bills defense does not make those 2 clutch plays, they do not win that game at all. So, hats off to Josh Allen first and foremost, Benford on the defensive side too. And then the other players, like I said, Dawson Knox was great, 93 yards in this one. He was fantastic too on top of that. And again, I have to give some credit to McDermott just because of just the aggressiveness on those 4th down plays. It was phenomenal to see that he was willing to really put it on the line there and trust Josh Allen at those moments. And I think that's the type of mentality that they have to go down the stretch to when you're facing New England. If you really feel like in your hearts that there is still a viable opportunity to win the AFC East, you gotta do the same. Probably have to do the same thing against the Patriots. And then you have on top, down that 2, you have the Eagles in Week 17. I don't want to overlook the Browns and Jets because we've lost to, struggled with the bad teams and lost to bad teams. So I don't want to just overlook that. You have to take care of business at Cleveland. You have to take care of business at, as of right now, the final game at Highmark, Week 18 against the Jets. And then again, how you feel about even with the Eagles struggling, it's still the Eagles. They still have a lot of talent on that team. Got to take care of business with that. But by far the best team out of the last 4 weeks is, of course, the Patriots, I feel like, at this point right now. And you got to play the same way you did with the Patriots. The aggressiveness, the mentality, the defense hopefully plays better than they did. Even with, it's tough to say that even with them getting a pick 6 and 2 interceptions at the rest of the game, hopefully they can play better against Drake May because they struggle with them. I was at that game for the primetime one, and it was tough to watch because they could not stop Diggs, they could not stop Drake May during that game, and hopefully they can bounce back and play better. And at that point, they did not have Harrison Phillips in the lineup, so hopefully that could be certainly a big factor of having a good corner alongside Benford and not relying too much maybe on Tre'Davious White. So we'll have that too as well. But again, overall, exciting performance, definitely one to remember in the final season of Highmark, up there as well with the Bengals, or sorry, with the Ravens Week 1 with that too. And you really chuck it up to that. Really, the last 5 minutes of the game, it looked like it was just the Bengals were going to pull it out, and the Bills find a way to do that, similar to the Ravens. Now, maybe not down as much as they were in that game, but just felt the same way too, where the few minutes left in the game, they turn around and they come out on top with there. So again, great performance by Josh Allen and the team there. And we'll get to the preview, next video with pretty soon, Week 15 against New England Patriots, and that's going to be huge, absolutely. Because again, if you win that, then it's like, hey, now the rest of the season really matters even more, and we can potentially maybe have one more home game for at Highmark Stadium or however it plays out for the seeding. But it's going to be huge. I hope that the Bills can split the series. I think they are capable of doing that. But the Patriots are playing great football. They are playing great football. Probably down, especially the last few weeks, or if you want to say the last 10 weeks of them being a 10-game winning streak, probably the best that anyone else has been playing in the NFL at this point here. So it's going to be very tough to be at New England facing Drake May, who is only getting better this season. Not just look at for this season, but years from now. He's not going away. The Patriots are not going away. But I won't go too far in the years down the line. But looking at this week, this season and this week, that it's going to be big. it is. So, thankfully the Bills came out on top there. I think gave them the confidence, the energy of coming out, being the Bengals and going to New England for this one. Very exciting to see. So I'll see you next video for the preview of Week 15 against New England Patriots and giving my thoughts on what the Bills need to be doing that one.